Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Big Questions, Small Steps. My name is Amanda and I'm so glad that you could join me today. Today is a special day for me. Today is my amazing boyfriend's birthday. So, in honor of him, I'm wearing this lovely shirt that we got. He was in the Air Force, so it stands for United States Air Force. He has retired, and I'm very proud of him for that. But today, being the day that we honor his gift of life and all that he has offered and enlightened the world with, I thought today I should do an episode on all the different ways that he has changed my life. For better, for worse, and also just to kind of give you a heads up on dating someone who is Jewish. So, let's not waste any time. Let's dive right in, okay? So, in January, about a year ago-ish, I met this amazing man, and he captured my heart right away, of course, and he treats me amazingly, of course, and he enthralls me and he challenges me in the best kind of ways. But our relationship has not always been easy. There have been lots of challenges along the way. From the first time we met, we had talk and we discussed different things. Now, to his benefit, he is very much a conversationalist and he likes to debate and talk about different things to great degrees, and he wants to discover a lot. And when he was in college, he actually was going for a theology degree. So I believe I was the first Protestant from the United Church of Christ that he had dated at that time. So he wanted to know a lot about our beliefs and our practices and things like this. And so there'd be lots of discussion back and forth. Now here's where the problem came in. Growing up, I had always had questions. I had always had doubts. I had things that I struggled with in my faith practices. And there were times where I would take the kids that I was teaching and we would go and explore different faiths and different backgrounds and understandings to help gain more awareness. And I was still very much searching. So the tricky part was that as someone who was in Christianity for 40 years, I was still unsure of what I believed. And when I did understand something, because of our conversations, when we would have conversations and he would ask questions, even if they were surface level questions, I felt stupid because I could hear the words coming out of my mouth and it didn't make sense. And he was able to articulate things so clearly and it was able to make sense. So I felt very inept and I felt a lot of self-doubt. And because he was so passionate about it and so knowledgeable about it, I tried to distance myself from Christianity. I tried to quickly make up my mind, like what he's saying and pointing out or asking questions. It's questions I've had. It's questions that I can't find the answer to, and I struggled with that. He's an amazing man. He's always been very supportive, and he's never purposely made me feel stupid. He wasn't asking any questions to get me or make me on the offensive or anything like that. He genuinely wanted to learn. The problem is I didn't have answers to give him, and anyone that I had talked to didn't have answers that would fulfill his questions either. So that was a struggle. That was a struggle. There are still questions that come up that he'll ask randomly, like, oh, well, what do you do for this? Or what do you do for this? Or he'll watch one of the videos that I've made and he'll want more of an explanation on something. So I will tell him what I know, but I can also tell you that more times than not, I need to do additional research so that I can articulate it better. Okay. The biggest change, I would say by far, that I have experienced since meeting this amazing man is my awareness level is much higher. My awareness of inaccuracies that people are believing is common knowledge. My awareness of racism amongst people, sly comments that they may not intend to be hurtful, but are because they're passing stereotypes. Even my awareness in light of the current situation with Israel and Hamas, my awareness on people's actions or inactions and what that's really saying. It's surprising. But before, I was used to playing the good Christian role and don't cause any stirs or any troubles. Like, your job is just to pacify everything. Now my awareness has grown. And that's changed my perception of things. Okay? In particular, there have been, probably about 10 different ways in particular that this amazing man has changed my life. So we're going to talk about some of the positives, and we're going to talk about a couple of the negatives as well. But all of them have been very awakening for me. And this is something that if you happen to be dating a Jewish man, you should prepare yourself for in some way, shape, or form. Okay? So the first change is actually the change that my family has been most excited about. My family is Christian, and they have known my amazing boyfriend for about as long as I've been seeing him. And the biggest change that they notice is my personality. I've always been very happy, very bubbly, very outgoing, but I put up a facade. And I own that. And he has been instrumental in tearing down the facade and helping me be real and organic with the people who matter. He has also been very instrumental as far as helping me understand that not everyone deserves to be in my presence. Okay? Now, that is something that he does, but that's also part of him being a Jewish man. As a Jewish man, he tries to build up those around him that have value to him. He values me. He pulls out what he sees as the best qualities of me, and he helps raise the expectation level that I expect within myself of those around you. So he's always looking to protect me, certainly. He's always looking for making sure that I'm safe, but he's also making sure that I have set a level that is acceptable to him as far as what I am willing to accept from other people. He loves me enough to make sure that I am loving myself, that I am respecting myself. And that's been a huge blessing from this amazing man, and this Jewish man that I'm dating. The next thing that he has changed or modified would be my idea of God. Now, when I was in Christianity, there was the Trinity that we focused on. So it was God the Father, Jesus the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Okay? And I struggled with each of them. The best way that I understood them was by watching a movie called The Shack. And in that movie, it basically talked about how the Trinity is different ways to understand or interpret God, and depending on what you need at that moment. I always viewed Jesus as somebody who was supposed to be more like me, and I got frustrated when I continually fell short. I never lived up to what I expected, and God was amazing and loving, and I loved that and I craved that, but I needed something a little more tangible, but I couldn't get tangible in Christianity with God. That was a struggle I had. Now, with his teachings, my amazing boyfriend has helped me understand that God is very loving, God is very present, but the biggest thing he has taught and instilled in me, if you want to say, is that God's love is unchanging. He doesn't go from loving you one moment to hating you the next. He loves you always, but his love may represent in different ways. Okay? Likewise, another change has been in the observance of different activities, my participation in different activities. So as a Christian, I loved Christmas. Loved Christmas. Loved the lights, loved the music, loved the sights, loved the scenes. I loved it all. But it was all just show. It was all about appearances. It wasn't getting to the heart of what was going on. In engaging with this amazing man, in practicing Jewish life, there are practices within the Jewish tradition that mean so much more to me now. They have deep meaning, and they create more intimacy in my observance. The best way I can explain, for example, Shabbat. So when you purposely pause, that's the best way I love to describe Shabbat. A purposeful pause from your week for God, for your family. That, when it was explained to me that basically it's a way to show God how much you love him. And when it was explained to me that the mitzvot are really just different ways to show your love to God. So it kind of equated to me like the different love languages. Perhaps your partner loves to have hugs. Perhaps your partner appreciates gifts. God is above anything that we can describe. But if it's something that makes God happy, if it's something that reminds God of how much we love, appreciate, and respect him, why wouldn't you do that? My amazing boyfriend knows that I need to be reaffirmed, reassured. I need to be told I love you frequently. He knows that about me. Because he knows, and he knows that about me, and he appreciates me, and he respects me, he will fulfill that need for me. So why wouldn't we do the same thing to God? And that was a great awareness for me when I was able to finally connect that. Because as a Christian, I was going to services, but it wasn't necessarily to fill me. It was to make my parents look good because, they have a daughter that's active in the church. Or it was to make myself feel good because, I can't rely on anybody, but Amanda shows up every week and we're so glad she's here. Things like that. It wasn't about pleasing God, anything that I was doing. It was about finding validation in other sources. So when I stopped caring as much about making everybody else happy and doing something that I knew was supposed to just make God happy, it just simplified everything for me. And it was very reassuring and amazing and refreshing all at the same time. It's pretty incredible. The next way that dating my amazing Jewish boyfriend has changed my life would be regarding my view of family as well as how I interact with my family. He happens to be from a military family, and that's great, and I care for them, but I don't really know them. Growing up in Christianity and growing up in Wisconsin, all of my family are relatively close, but none of them have really deep relationships. We tend to talk about things that are surface level. So just the way that the families interact, the different roles within a family. Growing up, I anticipated that I hoped I would get married, and that I hoped that me and my spouse would be partners, equal partners, and we would do things together, and everybody was in it the whole way, and we would have a happy life together. I didn't know exactly how that was going to happen. I just figured it would eventually work itself out. In dating my amazing boyfriend and talking to this amazing man and learning more about Judaism, I am learning more about different roles in the family, the different purpose of each individual, and how to really pull on each other's strengths. So there are different things in my relationship, for example, that I am in charge of, for lack of a better word. There are things that are my amazing boyfriend's strength, and he is in charge of, technology being one. I am not the technology person. That is his realm. Now, when it comes to medical and emotional stuff, that's all me. Finances, all me. It's looking at where your strengths are and how you can support each other. So it's not that everything is 50-50. No, it's I have these strengths, you have these strengths. We can weave them together and become much stronger together. It's building more of a family structure and less of these individual towers. Does that make sense? At the same time, because the Jewish community tends to be relatively small, I believe it's about 2% of the US population, dating a Jewish man has also taught me about the importance of building that family and community relationship within the spiritual side of myself. So I went to a Christian church for 40 years. I thought I had really, really in-depth, organic relationships, that people truly cared about me. I truly cared about them. And then when I chose to leave the Christian church, I quickly realized that was a facade. Now, I completely take ownership that I was using the Christian church at that time to make myself feel better. And I was using them to validate who I was. But I also realized after leaving that the relationships were all surface level. It was a relationship of convenience. If there were people who needed something done, they would reach out. If they didn't need something done, or if I said no, they wouldn't reach out. There were people who were very excited if I came to choir practice, but if I stopped coming to choir practice and I saw them in the grocery store, they would literally turn the other way. And that hurt because I tend to be an emotional person. On the contrary, or on the flip side, the importance of that Jewish community is so strong because we're such small numbers as a Jewish community. So when you go to service, typically there will be a kiddush afterwards. So there'll be some food, there'll be some talking, and the people at my synagogue, even though I've only known them for 2-ish years, they know me on a much deeper level than the people that knew me in the Christian church for over 40 years. We have in-depth conversations. We don't sweep things under the rug. We address it, and we accept each other for who they are. So that's just the different dynamics. Now, I'm not saying every Christian church is like that, because perhaps you're a Christian and your church is different. I'm just sharing from my experiences. And that is one of the things, the importance of having organic relationships, whether they're in your family, whether they are in your religious community. That's one of the things that was really encouraged by my amazing boyfriend, who happens to be Jewish. Moving right along is my values have changed. What I once thought or held in high esteem has changed. Before meeting my amazing boyfriend, I took great value, appreciation. I took great honor in being the one that everyone could rely on, the one that everybody could depend on, the one that would do anything for anybody and never expect anything in return. I took great pride, great joy in being the one that people would speak highly of. I was looking for affirmation from other people. Now knowing that that's what I was doing in a lot of my actions, and all of this learning, by the way, is coming from multiple conversations ad nauseum. Sometimes I'm sure my amazing boyfriend would admit that these conversations are happening, and slowly I'm digesting and understanding and figuring out more things and doing more reflection. And I'm coming to these realizations. Now I value people who value me. I value the good that I see in other people. I value what they can contribute, but I don't put people at false levels. I also don't let people into my friendship circle extremely easy. I am still learning, not perfect by any means. I'm still learning at judging people's character more carefully. I am still learning to really express myself more clearly. There's a lot of information that I have gained. I am not the best at speaking specifically factually. If I'm just talking about just facts about all of my new knowledge and learning. And I think part of that is growing up in Christianity, it was a lot about feelings. And if you feel it in your heart, and if you just believe, and if you just have faith, and in Judaism, everything is based on the facts. If you don't have the facts, you don't have anything to stand on. So seeing a sheep for a sheep and a duck for a duck, instead of trying to morph it into something else, has changed me. It's changed my values and what I see as important. I very much appreciate the fact that I am more true to myself. And my family loves the fact that my confidence level has raised to the point where I am my organic self. And they are very quick to credit my amazing boyfriend about that, because he brought out that in me. He gave me the confidence to know that I can just be me, and that's okay. So that's amazing. It's an amazing gift that he's given me. Amazing. The next thing that he has helped me understand would be the different viewpoints. I knew growing up what the UCC believed, or the United Church of Christ believed. I knew what I had been told, And I knew a smattering of some other thoughts from other denominations, but I didn't know everything. And I didn't make connections. I'm going to be completely honest about that. I was not good at making connections between things that happened historically, things that happened in church, things that happened with me. I wasn't good at making the connections. So all of those things in my mind were happening in silos. So by learning more and having discussions with my amazing boyfriend, he has helped broaden my awareness about what has been happening in historical times, about experiences, even things like, so my amazing boyfriend happens to also be Black. So raising my awareness and helping me understand that when a person of color walks into a restaurant and it's all white people, there's a certain level of anxiety that raises in them. I'm embarrassed to admit that I didn't realize that before dating this amazing man. The idea that when you have different family functions for the first time and you don't have a lot of diversity in your family, the different anxieties, the different questions, the different concerns that arise in them, I was unaware. I am much more aware now. I am much more knowledgeable now. And even if it wasn't outward things, it's the small things of looks or comments or side eyes. Like, no, we can just address that and shut it down. Whereas before, I was oblivious to it. Or again, I would go back to just being nicey nice and kind of pacifying everything because I didn't want to make any trouble. Now I have the confidence in myself that no, I'm a person of value. The people that are in my life are people of value, and I am going to stand up for what is not okay. And if it makes you feel uncomfortable because you said something that was inappropriate, then perhaps you should take a look in the mirror. That has been something that is huge, and 2 years ago, that wouldn't have ever come out of my mouth. I would have just swallowed it and walked away. Not that I wouldn't ever want to stand up for the people that I love, but I wouldn't want to make waves. I wouldn't want to cause anybody to think negatively about myself, which is backwards, and I'm aware of that now. And that's probably one of the biggest things that he has given me with our conversations, with his love, with his gentle reassuring. He has given me the confidence to own who I am and live my life to the fullest. He is there every day to nurture me. He's there every day to nurture my relationship with Hashem. He is so incredibly supportive. It's amazing. It's amazing. He has changed my life in so many ways. He has given me confidence. He has opened my eyes, opened my mind. It's been amazing. It's been amazing. Now, again, not everything is perfect. There are things that we still struggle with. For example, in particular, the idea that my family is Christian, he is Jewish, I'm on the conversion path to Judaism, he has children who are Jewish, and how that all works together. That if the children himself, his family, they're all at different observance levels. I'm at different observance levels of Judaism. And my family is Christian. So how that all blends together is a struggle. It's something we still talk about. And he values me and what my experiences were. So a lot of conversations have also been, okay, so the traditions that I grew up with, which traditions do we want to continue in our family moving forward? Are there any things that I found great value in and that I can pass on that tradition. There are Jewish traditions that we're going to pass on, certainly, but there's also 40 years before I met this amazing man that made me who I am. There are parts of me that are different than parts of him, and we want to make sure that we represent that well to our children growing up. So that's probably the thing that we're working through currently, and it's challenging. It's tough because sometimes I'll feel like we have it figured out what we're going to tell our family regarding the upcoming holiday season. What are we going to have as an expectation of our family for Shabbat? And I think it's more important in my side of things because I'm kind of the go-between between my amazing boyfriend and I have conversations, and then I relay that information to my family. So whether I am doing Christmas or not doing Christmas, or okay, we'll attend Easter, but we're not coming to dinner because it's Passover and we can't have any grains, like all those conversations, how we're going to handle it, that's an us conversation, and then I need to be able to relay that to my family. And that's something we're still trying to figure out between him and I. And we need to make sure that everything is worked. So that's probably the biggest challenge, is blending everything together and figuring out how to have each party feel represented and respected in an appropriate way while still valuing the other person. He's never said anything bad about me and my practices or my family or anything like that. There's a difference. There's a difference because of the different observance level of Judaism, because of the different traditions in Christianity, blending them together. So my biggest suggestion, if you happen to be dating a Jewish man or a Jewish woman, is communicate. Communicate often, communicate early, communicate every day. And there are going to be things that pop up along the way, and there are going to be discussions that you're going to need to have once. There'll be discussions you'll need to have 15 or more times. But it's about you figuring out in your relationship how you're going to work, and then how your relationship fits with the rest of your life. There are people who I know in the Jewish tradition that they are Jewish and they observe Shabbat fully. They do not use electricity. They won't eat all this stuff, but they happen to be married to somebody who is Christian and they do all that stuff. And that works fine for them. There are people that I know who were Jewish by birth. They met somebody else and they converted to Judaism. They then chose to practice in an Orthodox movement, and they essentially turned their whole lives around, and because they are the core. When you are dating someone, when you are in a relationship with someone, it's you and them. You are figuring out your relationship. I love my parents dearly. I love my sisters dearly. But it's me and my amazing boyfriend who are at the core. And then my amazing family is surrounding and supporting. So you just have to change your focus. It's not always going to be easy. But there are amazing things that can happen when you have open and honest conversation. When you can be vulnerable enough and real enough and raw enough with yourself to look at all of your insecurities in a safe place. If you are fortunate enough to have an amazing boyfriend like I have, who is willing to help you unpack your crazy, it's pretty amazing. Now, my amazing boyfriend happens to be Jewish. Love him dearly, proud of him always. I can't say that every Jewish man is like that. I can't say that every man is like that. But what I can say is in any relationship, communication is of utmost importance. And when you are dating a man or a woman who has a different faith practice than you did previous to that relationship, communication is very important. Your values may be different. Your ideals may be different. Communication is very important. I am blessed to have my amazing man in my life, and I hope that you are blessed to have amazing people in yours. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.